Welcome guys to Hanging with the Hens at Outward Farms. I'm Sandra Lausecker. This is a farm built by my brother and I in 2019. We are a fully organic egg farm, which means that we have our own feed mill. We raise our own chicks from 1 day of age. And to be organic, that means that our hens have to have a cage-free environment, they are fed an organic diet, and that they have access to the outside. I'm excited to show you guys how it all works.
My name is Daniel Lausecker. This is my sister Sandra, and we are both founders of Outward Farms.
So I want to introduce our brand a little bit. This is our packaging. Something that I think is important for us that when we created this brand was that we wanted to be very transparent about what our product is. We wanted to have a clean label. That was very important to Daniel, to have a clean label. Not put a bunch of marketing stuff on it, and what our product being organic, we wanted to make sure that only what is on there is what represents the organic product. We have to be regulated by the United States Department of Agriculture for organic, and then we have our certification body through American Humane, which certifies that our hens do have all of the organic standards available to them.
Part of my job today is getting the egg from the barn into this carton and getting it ready for the consumer to enjoy.
Something that I think that was also really important to us when we created this brand was our farm has the specs for an educational exhibit. So we wanted to create a very transparent and educational process of how our eggs get to the grocery store, all the way from us having our own feed mill, raising our chicks from 1 day of age, to having them produce their products in a cage-free environment with access to the outdoors, and they're always fed, of course, an organic diet the whole time. And we wanted to show and display that in a very open environment. So that's why we created an educational center here at this farm that we're happy and excited to launch, hopefully sometime in 2021. So as we prepare to go and see our hens, something that is really important for us is to make sure that we have appropriate biosecurity suits and PPE, personal protective equipment. The reason why we do this is because our hens, just like us people, have an immune system, and if we want to make sure that when we walk into the barns, don't bring anything in that's either on our clothing or on the bottom of our shoes. We want to keep the hens safe and make sure that we're doing everything to keep them very comfortable and happy in their own environment. We don't want to bring in something that is foreign to them and get them sick. So that is why we wear these amazing little suits and shoe covers. And now we will get suited up and go into the barns. So here's some hand sanitizer. We will walk in. So we'll walk down a little bit in the center because you'll notice that they're very curious and they're going to start following us. They want to be in the center of attention. You'll see them coming this way already. They're just very curious creatures. Aren't you, ladies? So, these are our hens. We're hanging with the hens today. I'm going to explain what all of this is. So, as you know, our hens are organic, and they are fed an organic diet, which you will see here in these chains up here. There's feed in here that they have access to, and we'll go down another row so you can see it better. And then they have access to feed and water at all times. These are little water nipples where you'll see, like when they peck at it. We'll do this a couple times because of lighting, but water will come out. They have their nesting space. So one thing that is important for us is that these hens, we wanted to mimic their natural environment. They naturally like to perch. In the evenings they want to go up and perch, and then they make their way down. So they have constant feed and water supply, and then they will make their way down into these spaces, which are called nests. Right now, oh, one lady just got done. This is kind of a padded area where you'll see where they can lay in there and squat down. They like to have a privacy, a dark area. And then the egg will roll down gently onto this conveyor belt that you can see a little bit. And then it will go and carry it out onto the conveyors to bring them into our processing. So that's how our eggs are collected. And they naturally want to go into these areas to lay their eggs. Something that you'll notice is they're very talkative. That's a very good sign to make sure that they're healthy, they're happy, they have good feathers. They're very curious, as you can see. They're not afraid of us. That's something that is important for us to notice as well, that each barn has a dedicated hen caretaker. And they walk these rows every single day to make sure that they actually check the feed and the water supply, make sure it's available, make sure that they don't see any signs of any illness from them. And obviously they're not afraid of us, so that means somebody is walking these barns every single day. Aren't you girls? They're not afraid of anything. Something that I always like to point out too is this is a cage-free environment, so obviously they can roam anywhere they would like, all around us. They have all this extra space that I always like to point out, and you can see the other end of the barn. I always point that out as well. It's very important to show that there's good air quality in here, that you can really breathe well, which means that they can breathe well, and your visibility is really good. So those are very important qualities. We've got about 23,000 hens in this house, and we have 3 of those houses on this property. There they are. So one of the things that we talked about was the environment for our hens. We always want to make sure that we're providing them great ventilation, the temperatures that they need. Obviously, it's their shelter in their home, so they want to stay cozy and have to have the environment that they feel comfortable in, and also the ability then to also produce eggs and do all their other natural behaviors. And one of the ways that we can really ensure that that gets done all of the time is we have so much great technology these days to help us with a lot of those practices, whether it comes to our environmental controls, such as the fans. This does a lot of the recording. It's also on an alarm in case there's ever anything that comes out of sync. We are able to be alerted by it, and our generators kick on. But this ensures good air quality for them. All of the fans are programmed to what they need depending on what time of year it is, or their age, or also the just the different environment that they need to have for production. It also records the temperatures. The temperature within the barn. It has lighting control. Hens are very sensitive to lighting, just like we as humans. You know, we want to make sure that we wake up in the morning, there's a sunrise, things like that. They want to lay their eggs in a dark environment, which is why they have nest space with some covers, but they also have to have privacy, but they also have to have lighting so that when they perch or want to do some dust bathing, that they have that. And then also it shows us on here our feed and water consumption, so we can very quickly know, okay, is there something that a feed chain that's not working, or is there something broken in the water lines? We can make sure that we know that they're drinking what they're supposed to every single day, and also eating the volume that they're supposed to every day, to make sure that they're healthy and happy and can do all of their natural behaviors. So that's what this helps with. So now we're going to enter processing, where the eggs get washed, graded, and packaged for distribution. So first we're going to wash our hands. processing manager's office where they will watch and record all of the product going through and what packaging it goes into for the day. Now we're going to walk over here and do the whole entire process. Our eggs are collected out of the barns on conveyor belts and they get brought in and collected. Here you will notice that they get put onto spools to go through the machine. And we're going to walk around here. Here they're going to be going through the washer. We have the United States Department of Agriculture does come in and monitor our temperature for the wash water, as well as how much soap we use to clean them. And then they also get dried. Here you can see them coming through to get dried in the blower. Since our hens are organic, and that means that they do have access to the outside, we have a UV disinfection, which basically what it is like a tanning bed light that it rolls underneath. And it penetrates the shell and a little bit of the inside layer of the shell to make sure that if there's anything that the hen may have consumed outside or should not be there, that it does penetrate a little bit to disinfect it. And then it moves on to the egg inspector. And the egg inspector, this is a very awesome mechanism. It actually starts tagging the eggs as they start going through. So from this point on, it will start tracking the egg all the way until it's packaging. It also checks for dirts and makes sure that they, if there's any meat spots inside of it, that gets tagged at that point so it gets discarded. And then they come on over here to the crack detection, and this is very cool. There's little spools inside of it that have prongs that come out, and they tap the egg. I want to say that about 16 times or so, if not more, in various points. And it's basically they come out at a very high speed and tap it very lightly. What this does is we set the machine to a certain percentage of cracks that our customers require or have in their specs. And basically it detects hairline cracks, so something that even the naked eye cannot detect. It will start tagging it. There's a microphone at the end of that prong, so it'll actually measure its wavelength to make sure that it's not letting more hairline cracks go through than what we allow. And then it goes on over here. It discards any eggs that are bad at this point, and then it goes into the weighing section. The weighing system, what that does, it basically FDA, they require us to weigh our eggs for a net weight per package. So in our egg cartons, you'll see the net weight. This is what this machine does. It also grades it for the quality of egg and makes sure that it then is tagged along to whichever packing lane it goes to. Throughout this process, there's one more stop, one more measuring spot. It checks for blood spots. So it's a natural process. Obviously, the chicken's biology, as the egg is laid, there could be a blood spot or something that is in the egg, and it discards it. It can recognize it. And then it gets sent to whichever packaging lane that it is assigned to. Here you'll see small, medium, extra large. And then you'll notice that the eggs are then sent to whichever lane that size or net weight of egg is. This basically will record all of the different eggs that we have ran today. We run about 60,000 eggs in this plant every single day, and they get tracked, of course, so we know how many large, extra large. Mostly when you're in a grocery store, you see large in packaging, or sometimes you see mediums, but usually large, especially for cooking and baking. And that's what we want the peak of our production to be also when it comes to the chickens. But we can track that, and we can very quickly see if there's a size off or something, and also take that back then to the houses to make sure, well, what's missing? Let's trace it all the way back and find out what's wrong. Is there something wrong with the chicken? Is there something wrong with the way it's produced? Is there something wrong in our machine? Are we just not, is the machine off? We can really look at all of the different components of it. We also know how many blood spots, like I mentioned, there's blood, crack, and dirt. We know exactly how many were pulled that day, so we can really know how efficient our whole process is, from all the way back to the chicken to the packaging. Each of our cartons, every code that you will see in a grocery store has a dating code on the side. It either will have a sell by, use by, or best by date that is mandated, but each state or customer will have their own requirements. There's also a Julian date, which means that is the day of the year that it is packaged. Today is the 283rd day of 2020, so that is why that number is stamped there. There will be a plant code that is assigned by the United States Department of Agriculture will assign a plant code to every single egg processing plant, so you can have easy and quick traceability back to where that came from. And then we also have added our lane number, and that's on each of our packages. Do you want to add something? No? These are our eggs. Once it is in the final packaging, there's also a label put on the side. It tells you exactly what product it is, the grade it is, the sizing, the customer or label, the pack, what size it is, and then a use by date or sell by or best by, depending on your customer specs again, as well as the Julian date and our plant code. So again, it's very easy for them once it gets to their distribution center or in their store to pull it to figure out what they need, and then also trace it back immediately if there's any issues. Well guys, this is the end of our tour. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging with the hens at Outward Farms with me and our team here, and we hope to someday get to show you a live tour.